right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Get Weird with me, your host, Brittany Barbieri. Today's story is one of those cases that sits right on the edge. It's not paranormal, not really true crime. It's just something in between, because this wasn't really a legend and it wasn't like some folktale that was passed down over the years or over time. This actually happened. The story I'm about to share with you is about a man that was murdered, quite brutally, actually. And the people who did it, well, they didn't deny it. In fact, they actually claimed that they had, and I quote, no choice but to do it, because they believed with everything inside of them that what they were dealing with was a curse. Yeah. All right. So I can get right into this one. And if you guys listen to this case and you find it fascinating and you would like to learn more about this case, you can research it by the names given that I provide in this podcast episode today. It's one that'll leave your head, kind of just going, what the crap? Like, because it just is very fascinating. So let me set the scene for you. Okay. I want you to kind of imagine this for a second. The year is currently 1928. You're standing in a very quiet and rural town and valley in Pennsylvania. Okay. The town that this took place in is called Hex Hollow. There's like, at this point, it's 1928. So there's no street lights. There's no noise from traffic, right? Just farmland, woods, and silence, just nature. You're surrounded by this wonderful nature. And this tight-knit little community that lives inside this little Hex Hollow. Families who have known each other forever. People who go to church together, work the land together, and congregate together, spend time together, know each other by name, interact with each other, go to church together. And they believe in things that most people today would most likely brush off and just be like, oh, whatever. This is so like 13th century. That's kind of how I hear people talk today. When you have those movies or shows where they try and like create the 1920s guy, they're like, well, they're out on the farm and they're taking care of. That's what I hear when I hear people mention about like the 1920s to today's 20-year-olds. I kind of imagine their voice just being like, that was so like, what, 20th century? Please, we're like in the 31st century now, right? Like, it's right. Like, no, honey, it's not the 31st century either. Anyway, moving on. I digress, but I know you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so as I said, they believed in things that people would brush off today as not like something that we should be focused on. At this time, they practiced something called powwow. Okay, this isn't Native American powwow. It's very different, even though it's worded like powwow, what we think. This is actually a very old world folk magic. It was healing rituals, protection prayers, charms, and curses. Okay. And now I get it, like Hex Hollow, like just thinking about it right now, this isn't a joke. Okay, let me. I swear, it's not a joke. It is something in this particular case that you feel and something you fear. So 1928, people believe someone in that valley, in that particular town, had the power to use powwow, use this ability, use this power. The individual that I am talking about, his name was Nelson Rehmeyer. He lived alone, way out deep in the hollow where it was very quiet, private, and he was kind of different. Some people said he was known as a healer in the area, at least what it's been documented, written as. Others said he was something else entirely. They believed he could remove curses from people, which I think is pretty freaking cool. They also whispered in town like people do when they go hang out. They're like, hey, did you hear about Rehmeyer? That kind of thing. That maybe he could even like go to places themselves, like travel, and the other one, he could place curses on people if he wanted to, which I would assume you could if you're removing. Do you see, what I'm saying? Like if you're removing, anyway, they just said he was very odd. Like people speculated and made up a bunch of stuff about this guy. So I don't know what's true or what's not. I don't know. There's a lot of literature out there and research on this. You can read. But then enters another man into this picture. A man who became completely consumed by this belief, by the fact that Rehmeyer not only could remove curses, but also possibly put curses on people and had different abilities and maybe traveled and did all this other stuff that people, assumed at the time. And his name was John Blymire. Look at these Myers. What the heck, right? His last name, for those wanting to spell it, is Blymire. Blymire. So according to him, his life was falling apart. Everything was just out of control. Unexplained illness, constant paranoia, and the feeling that something was completely wrong. Okay. Not just bad luck. I mean, like something was targeting him. This was what was going on in this man's mind, that there was only one person responsible for this. And of course, who do we circle back to? Who do you think John goes back to? He goes back to Mr. Nelson Rehmeyer. Okay. He is saying that person is responsible for it. So anyway, here's where things start to spiral a little bit out of control. Now we have the person everybody believes can remove curses. He practices powwow, but he is also believed to place these curses on people. Then you have this other gentleman, John, who's saying, I am just having all of these issues happen to me. I am nothing but bad luck, and I know who is doing this, right? So we have a cause and effect, kind of like the Salem witch trials. I don't want to pony fingers, but those girls did kill innocent women for no reason. Anyway, so Blymire becomes obsessed, okay? So he is seeking out another powwow practitioner, someone that he himself trusts. And this story, like, guys, oh, okay. So he is literally told something that changes everything at this very moment for this man. That yes, he is in fact cursed. And that curse came from Rehmeyer. So what he was already expecting, that somebody had cursed him, and now he's talking to another powwow practitioner, and they are saying and confirming his beliefs that it came from Rehmeyer. So now, think about this, okay? Put yourself there for 1 second with me. You already believe in this world, okay? You already believe in all of this. You already believe in hexes and that they are real and curses are real. And someone now confirms your worst fear ever. You're not imagining it. You are under attack. And so what do you do? What do you do in this moment? Because in that belief system, there is literally only one way to break a curse like that. You have to confront the person who casted it, and you have to follow very specific steps, okay? So let me tell you the steps that you need. Not only are you confronting this, but you got to get stuff too, okay? You need a lock of their hair, one of their books, and something at this point in time, a little difficult to try and get very easily, their blood. I wish I was making this stuff up, but this is fact, okay? So February 1928, this is when everything changes. This is when this story goes from some crazy person is telling another person that they're cursed and hexed, and then another person is being blamed for it, and it could have just ended there, okay? It just would have never even went into history, but that is not at all what happens. So now it is the evening. It is this moment in time in February 1928. It is cold. It is dark outside, and these three men walk toward Rehmeyer's house. Excuse me. It's Rehmeyer. Excuse me. God, these names. Okay, they're going towards Rehmeyer's house. And now we have Blymire, John Blymire, who has gotten the affirmation and confirmation that he is cursed by this gentleman, and two other gentlemen are with him. And they're not sneaking around like criminals either, okay? They truly believe with all of their heart they're about to save a life, okay? Maybe even their own. Who knows? But they enter into the house, and inside they confront him. And what happens next turns into a very violent, chaotic struggle, okay? Rehmeyer fights back, and he's outnumbered because there's three of them on this one man. He is beaten. he is overpowered, and eventually he's strangled to death. But it doesn't, I wish it stopped there, but it doesn't. Because fear mixed with belief can turn into something else entirely. So here we go again. Let's not just leave the poor guy alone. Nope. Let's set his body on fire right there in the house. And later, they would say something that still doesn't sit right to this very day to anybody, okay? They weren't just trying to kill him. They were trying to break the curse that they believed existed, that they believed something had control over them. Something had control over him, and they believed something about him that wasn't normal. Like, this case is like, the more I say it out loud and the more I talk about it and the more, like, even when I read it, I'm like, freaking A. Like, this is insane. This is where you believe and conjure something so much into your head, you feel justified. I mean, how many of these cases do we have in history? We have a lot, actually, where they were justified by the belief or something that was in their head, something that was told to them that caused them to do something like that. It's absolutely insane to me. Absolutely insane to me. So they actually believed that there was something about Rehmeyer, okay, that wasn't normal. And some of the accounts that I read that were written down, they expected to find something inside of his body, a mark, proof that something inhuman was within him. And I'm assuming this would be like a witch's mark. So here's the part in this case that is really unsettling. Okay. They didn't run. They didn't hide. They didn't try to cover this up. They actually confessed quite immediately, actually. And when they did, they didn't describe it like a crime, right? They described it like this was necessary. This was a necessity. We had to do this. This was a necessity that had to be done. We had to do this for everyone. And apparently the quote is, and I wanted to make sure I had it correct, the quote was, if we hadn't done it, he would have killed us. He would have killed us. Not physically, but I guess through the curse. That they fully and again believed this. Through something they believed was already taking hold of them through this curse. So all three men were arrested, tried, convicted, and the newspapers ran wild with it. Okay. Superstition, backwoods belief, fear, gone too far kind of thing, right? And that's the version that stuck, the official version. But in the valley, people still talked about this quietly, about Rehmeyer, and about the things he knew, the things he practiced, and whether or not, just maybe, there was more to this case. There was more to this that happened. So now I want to leave you with this because this is where it gets a little uncomfortable. And it is get weird with me. So we're going to get weird. So was this just fear? We have three men caught up in a belief system so strong that it pushed them to murder or hear me out. Did they genuinely believe that they were fighting something real? Like you could say witch, demon trapped in this man's body, making these curses, hexes, what have you. Here's some of the stuff I can't shake. They didn't hesitate to confess. Again, now we're talking about a time when they would have felt justified for this, because in this particular, in Hex Hollow, this would have been, like, okay, well, obvious, like, okay, well, they were, they felt justified in the sense because they believed that they were really being cursed and somebody was doing this type of dark, evil witchcraft. We're talking about like people that were heavily following the Christianity belief or following the religious practices and the belief and going to church. And so, you hear of these things. And if you really are being told by a practitioner that you are under a curse by somebody that could be playing in devil's work or devil's magic, in this particular instance, that's basically what this sounds like. I can see why they would feel justified in making this decision and why they really believe this. We're talking about a time when these types of conversations were still normalized in certain country farm towns. Okay. So again, for me, what it's hard to shake off is that they didn't act like men who had made a mistake. They were very, confident, I think is the word I want to say, in their actions. They acted like men who really believed they had done the right thing for themselves, for the people, for the community even. And for me, when belief becomes that powerful, when it shapes your reality to that extreme, where is the line? Where's the line that you draw between superstition and the supernatural? Right between fear and truly something unknown. Like, where do you draw that line? And then you have to say, what if? Just what if they really thought they were saving themselves? Like, they really believed this. They had conjured this in their head. They truly, truly, truly believed what they did was fully justified. I mean, for something that we just don't truly or fully understand yet, was there more at play here? Did they really know something? And we look at it now as, wow, that's just the craziest thing I've ever heard. They're insane. And you're going to rumble off whatever ideas you might have. But the mere question is, as we've grown more into society and we've grown more, we have also learned a lot more. That there were things hidden from us on purpose to keep us as workers and not thinkers, right? To be controlled, to be placed into a concrete box and told that we all have to work and live a certain way. We all have to think and compute a certain way. And if we are to go against that said grain, then there's something wrong with us, or we're mentally unstable, or what have you. And nowadays we're a little more accepted to challenge the narrative of society because so much proof is slowly coming out that our own history isn't even correct in certain points. And, some colleges are rewriting history. Some colleges are keeping to a certain practice. And so I'll let you decide as the listener, because I know where I sit and I don't follow the world today. I sit on my own edge of a cliff looking out amongst the followers and, the people that just think because that's what they were told to think. And I was never that kid. I was never raised to be that kid. It was very hard for me to fit in because my brain was always working somewhere else. It was challenging everything that I was being taught. I had a very vivid imagination, so my creativity would always spark up, but then my intellectual side would then combat it, and then I would combat myself in my brain between what is real and what isn't, and what if it's all not true at all. Like, it was just so interesting growing up. And so I will let you decide on this particular case. Was Hex Hollow just a tragic case of fear and belief colliding into one scenario? Or was this something darker hiding just beneath the surface? Now, you can let me know what you think. And if you're loving these deep, twisted cases, make sure you're also following this podcast to Get Weird with me, because every Friday there is a new episode. And on my Instagram account, I have decided to give brief little fun time traveling stories to match these cases with imagery and things like that. I'm just having fun with it because every morning I wake up, I feel like I learned something new about the world around me that's completely opposite than what I was taught growing up in school. So, with that being said, to all my amazing listeners, thank you for coming back each and every week or whenever you binge these. And I want you to stay curious, stay open-minded, challenge the narrative, challenge the grain. Don't just take it at face value because somebody told you, well, that's what it says. Well, that's the truth. No, Don't listen to that. Do the proper research, and it's not always done on Google. It's done through a lot of literature, like actual books, libraries, newspaper articles, contacting historians, speaking to historians, seeing a lot of archives, a lot of archival information, boots on the ground, seeing the facilities, talking to the locals. That's the kind of research that all of you can do from your home, believe it or not. It's very accessible. And don't take things at face value. Just challenge yourself. Challenge those around you. Challenge their mindset. Don't be afraid to be different, and don't be afraid to be weird. Until next time, like I like to say to you, stay weird.